Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and on this channel we talk about ways to make your elementary music classroom more meaningful and joyful for your students and for you. Today we're talking about 5 unexpected ways to implement behavior management strategies in your classroom. I teach pre-K through 4 general music, and this is my first year teaching those grades exclusively in a permanent position. And I found that these 5 strategies, which I started implementing at the beginning of the school year, so September 2021, and honed for the next 10 months, these were very helpful in getting my students to understand what the rules in my classroom were, why we needed to follow them, and the consequences, both good and bad, if we did or didn't follow the rules in the room. When we think behavior management in elementary music classrooms or even just elementary classrooms, we might think of things like whole class behavior systems like points or charts or colored tickets that you might give students on an individual basis. You might think of maybe there are magnets or clips on the board to let students know in general, how are we doing? And I'm not a teacher that has ever implemented something like that, at least not long term. I've tried those strategies in the past, but I found that it didn't do a whole lot for individual student accountability. And I do think that you can teach and implement individual student accountability at a very young age. So today we're talking about 5 behavior management strategies that don't fall into this big category of charting or tracking or some kind of public display of how students or individual students are doing behavior-wise. These strategies are more about changing your mindset and your language and reacting to things in a calm and reasonable and realistic way. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Unexpected behavior management strategy number 1 is changing your language. I focused a lot this year on the word choice, meaning that I responded to student behavior with sentences that might have started, I see that you chose to, or I noticed that you chose, or I just saw a lot of us choose to, instead of something similar, but like, we all just did this, or you just put that into the basket unsafely, or you lined up really loudly. I really focused on using that word choice. And the reason for that is because I want students to understand that their choices have consequences, good and bad, depending on how it aligns with our class value and rule system. I also want students to understand that the reason that I have these rules, or maybe not the reason, but the consequences that follow from the rules are directly related to choices that they make. So for example, I have students put their own instruments back into the place we got them from. And if I see students putting their things away roughly, unsafely, I'm going to say, I saw that you just chose to put that away unsafely. Take it back out. Can you try that again with gentle hands? That's just an individual student. If we're lining up at the end of class and on the whole, we're a little rowdy, which is very possible because we do a lot of movement and exciting, energizing things in my classroom, I might say, well, pause. Let's head back to the rug. We're going to try that again. I saw a lot of us chose to be really loud and rowdy, and that's not how we want to act as we're going into the hallway. Let's come back to the rug, try that again. And if you want to nudge a little further with that issue, with that concept of personal choice and accountability and consequences, if you have even, 30 seconds, you could bring them back to the rug and say, turn and talk to someone. Answer this question, why do we line up in a calm and orderly way? What are we getting ready for? What are we about to do? Where are you about to go? Little prompts like that don't just have them repeating actions seemingly maybe arbitrarily in their mind, connecting a reason for it. Why aren't we gonna line up moving our bodies like this? Why are we gonna walk to the door instead of run? Little things like that can help students, even very young students, pre-KK, be more cognizant of the fact that their actions are going to affect the things that happen next. So besides just having students try things again, another way I might implement this choice-based language more related to a direct consequence is if, let's say I'm handing out instruments to my first graders, I've reiterated what the expectations are with the instruments. Like when you get your instrument, put it in front of you or put it in resting position behind you, something like that. So what I might ask is if I see a student take their instrument out of the bucket and immediately start going at it, I might say, whoops, Okay, you're choosing to do something unsafe with the instrument, or you're choosing to be really loud right now. Let's try that again. Give them a second chance. But if you see it happen again, you might say something like, I see that you chose to be loud with your instrument when what we really should have been doing is this, is putting it on the rug in front of us or being more gentle. I'm going to take your instrument away for now, and I'm going to hand it back to you when you show me you da da da, or when you tell me that you're ready to be safe, to be gentle, to be quieter with your instrument for now. I do believe that putting that word choice in there is just better than saying, you're being loud with your instrument, I'm going to take it from you. I really want to connect that choice element, which is something that they decided to do because students are in charge of their own actions and bodies, and connect it to, here's why it's not going to be in your hands anymore for now until you're ready again. Unexpected behavior management strategy number 2 is for you. Having realistic expectations of what students are capable of doing behavior-wise and self-management-wise. So for example, understanding that when you have a group of new kindergartners, they are going to behave differently, rightfully so, because they're smaller, younger people, than a group of 3rd or 4th graders. If you expect age-appropriate behavior as they're navigating your classroom, then you can anticipate what their responses might be and come at them with strategies that can help them regulate and learn the way you want things done in your classroom. My music classroom, and probably yours too, has a lot of really cool, fun stuff in it. You use instruments, there are fun manipulatives, there may be a lot of open space. You might be moving around a lot and navigating like physically where students go and where objects go, like when you're done with them. So it is on the teacher, it's on you to help them learn how to do those things, but in the way that you want them to do them. So in an orderly fashion, or quietly, or safely, however you want to frame that. But understanding that giving a kindergartner a shaker and expecting them to be perfectly still with it or to keep it on the floor the whole time at the beginning of the year or when they're first learning, understanding that that's probably not realistic is going to help you come at them with strategies to help them manage that. Strategies like signals, something that you call to them, or a visual signal, or a song, or a melodic signal. Now, if we look at the other end of the age group there that I work with, and I'm looking at like 3rd or 4th graders, and the expectation is I'm going to pass these instruments out, or we're all going to get these instruments somehow. And when you get them, I want you to put them on the floor in front of you. Then you may also preface that with, when you get your instrument, you're going to put it down on the floor in front of you, and we're not going to use them until we all have them. You might even want to acknowledge, and this could be for any age group, that it's difficult to have this cool thing in front of you that you can't use yet. We will use them, but not right now. So when you get your instrument, I need you to put it down on the floor in front of you and wait until we're all ready and I give the signal. If students want to play and are playing a little bit ahead of time, just prompt them gently, it's okay. But you know your students best. If you think that students are being on purpose, trying to make people laugh or trying to get a rise out of you or seeing what your boundaries are, then that's up to you to figure out how you want to manage that. So I might do I will give you one verbal warning, and then I'm going to take it until da da da. And I keep saying da 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 because I might say until you're ready, or until you show me that you're ready, or until you tell me that you're ready to try again. But the same rule is going to apply. I'm going to give you one warning, and then it comes right back to me. Can I expect those kind of things in the upper grades? Yeah, I can, because they've had more time, more years, more music classes to understand what the rules are and how to self-regulate. But if you're using language in your classroom like, oh, we need to redo that, we were not ready, and students don't really know what being ready is, that might be because you have unrealistic expectations of what they're capable of doing and understanding, and how they're capable of regulating themselves for their age group. Unexpected behavior management strategy number 3 is the idea of trust, and it sort of relates back to the idea of choice. Being able to trust students in your classroom, whether or not it's an elementary music classroom, is key, right? You need to trust that students are going to be kind to each other, use things correctly, be safe, and navigate your space. But I like the idea of trust because it emphasizes that your actions speak louder than your words. The way you treat people, the way you respond to people's ideas, The way that you treat the things we use in the room says more about you than what you say you're going to do or what you say you believe or think. Building trust in your music classroom is going to happen through practice and observation, and that's something you might even want to narrate. And it can be as simple as, I notice Savannah is being very careful and gentle as she passes out the shakers to everyone. Thank you, that's helpful. Or if you have a student going, down the hall to deliver something for you or get something from the office, you might want to actually narrate and say out loud, I trust Connor to go to the office and grab this for me and come right back. I know he's going to do a good job. I see students once a week, and I treat each class as a blank slate. It's a new opportunity for students to show me that I can trust them with things. It's also a new opportunity for me to make sure that I am fairly giving students enough chances, enough opportunities, that I take the time to reteach if I notice that, I don't know if I can trust my class with these xylophones today. Well, okay, I want to be able to trust them next time. What can I do to help get them there? At a certain point, though, you do have to draw a line, because you can't just keep giving chances over and over and over again. I think it's okay to tell students in an age-appropriate way, I'm not sure that I trust you yet with this. In a few classes, maybe you'll be ready to try so-and-so, or maybe I would love to pick you for this job or to help me hand this out. And I'll know that you're ready for that when I see this. Or even explicitly saying, I pick students for certain jobs because I trust that they can be calm with their body, safe with the instruments, and respectful of other people. Do be careful when you are talking about not trusting in general, because the last thing that I would want is for a student to think that they are intrinsically untrustworthy or that it's not something that they can work on and show me. And that's, again, how it relates back to the idea of choices. I emphasize a lot that we are in charge of our own actions and what we say and what we do. So reiterating, and this is for any age group, that you believe in them, that you know that they are capable of this thing. It just might take some time to practice, and practicing is okay. Unexpected behavior management strategy number 4 is being comfortable with the idea of redos. This year, a few times, occasionally, in a few of my classes, about 8 to 12 minutes in, sometimes I would just say, stop, we're gonna restart. We're gonna restart class. We're gonna give ourselves a redo. And I say that calmly, and then what do? We go back into the hall, we come in, and we start class over again. I do everything over again. I might do attendance over again. We might listen to the same exact song again. I try to do everything exactly the way it was before, with the expectation, which I've stated, that when we come back and when we're redoing class, here's what needs to happen. Here's what I wanted to see. I didn't see us making those choices. The idea of having a redo is a real world application. People do get second chances. People do get a chance to stop, reflect, and try things again and show that, this is something they're capable of and can be trusted with. So I'm very comfortable with the idea of occasionally stopping class if we're not in the right learning mindset and restarting, or taking a minute, thinking about what the expectation is, and starting over again. Now, you can't just redo several times in one day because then your learning time is gone, and that's not fair to the students who are being good role models, and it's not fair to everyone really, because they deserve to have learning time. But what you might do with younger students is give them, one redo occasionally. And with older students, you might ask, okay, we've had to redo class, 3 times over the past, 5 weeks or 8 weeks. How many redos do you think is appropriate for us? How many redos do you think we should need? And I bet you're going to get a lot of students saying, we shouldn't need any, or we should have only needed 1. And that's a conversation that you can have about being trustworthy, what consequences are when students don't follow your rules and take away learning time from other students, but engaging them and bringing students into that conversation about, okay, why are we doing this? What needs to happen and why is going to help them take a little more ownership and have a little more accountability regarding their actions and behaviors in your classroom. When you do these redos, make sure that you're calling out positive behavior, positive actions. You can either do this by name or you can do this anonymously. I see 3 students who are being excellent role models right now. They're walking into the classroom ready to learn. They're finding their spot. They're sitting right down. Their eyes are on me. I know that they're ready to continue class. Like I mentioned before, you don't want this to become a habit. You don't want to have to redo class every single day. You may feel as though I can't handle these behaviors right now. I need to restart. If you can calmly collect yourself, or if you need to have everyone just take a 30-second silent, eyes closed, lights off break before you keep going, that could also be a way to help students regulate themselves rather than totally restarting, because you don't want students to come into your classroom and think, I can behave any way I want because in 10 minutes we're just going to restart and then I'll be ready. No, you need students to be ready right away, but everyone needs redos sometimes, and sometimes they are effective. Unexpected behavior management strategy number 5 is letting natural consequences play out in your room as much as possible. This is doable in a music class when you are using a lot of objects and manipulatives, turn taking, because there are things that can result naturally from a student either showing a positive behavior or a negative behavior. For example, the natural consequence of being unsafe with a drum, hitting it really loudly, wearing it on your head, rolling it across the floor is you take it away because you can't trust the student with the instrument. I see this student doing so-and-so, so I'm taking this away. And you can say until fill in the blank, or I'm taking it away for the rest of class. Next time you can try again. There are always second chances. They may not always happen that same day, but you're always going to give students the chance to try again because you want students to know that they are capable. It just might take practice and time, and practicing is okay. Another example is if we're watching a short video, like a clip of an orchestra performance. We might talk about what appropriate movie behavior is. So if you have clear expectations, but there are a few students who are still ignoring those expectations, the natural consequence is, okay, you can't sit next to this person you're talking to, or you're going to sit in a chair for the rest of the video, and here's the expectation for you sitting in the chair away from your peers. The consequences shouldn't humiliate, and I know that can be subjective. I mean, being called out can be embarrassing for students, but you also have an obligation to the other students who are there and deserve to have uninterrupted learning time. Another way that I reinforce these natural consequences with grades like 2, 3, and 4 is, let's say, so I put the agenda on the board, and usually I'll either put the learning target or I'll put the big 3 things we're getting to today. And if I need to stop consistently for people who are chatting and talking, which was a big theme this year in those grades, I might point and say, here are the things we're doing today. We're on number 1, and we're not going to get down to number 3 if this keeps happening. What can we do to help us moderate that? Or if we're playing a game, a lot of times students will ask, is everyone going to get a turn today? And my typical response is, I would love for everyone to get a turn today, but I can't promise that everyone will get a turn, especially if class continues this way, if people are interrupting me, if we're not being respectful, if Or I might be totally honest and say, I don't think everyone's going to get a turn today. And that's because, or I don't think everyone's going to get a turn today. Why do you think that is? Or here's how we can work towards all getting turns today. I implement these strategies with grades pre-K through 4, which are the grades that I teach. I really want students to understand that we have these rules and expectations so that we can learn, so that we can have fun, so we can have a good time, and that everyone feels valued and important in the classroom. I am honing these strategies. I am not a complete expert on them. I feel like they work for me and for my students, so I hope that you can take some of them and apply even little bits and pieces to the students that you teach, even if it's not a music class or a special class or an arts class. I think these are applicable in just about any elementary classroom setting. That being said, if you have any questions or want any clarification or wonder how you could apply this little thing here to this, section of students, I would love to have a conversation with you. You can leave a comment down below. You can also reach out to me on Instagram or you can email me. If you found this video helpful, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. That helps other teachers like you find my content and learn from it. You can also hit the subscribe button below. I try to put out videos every other week or so. It's the summer now and I'm preparing to go on maternity leave in the fall, but I do my very best to make sure that I'm putting out consistent content for music educators to learn and implement in their own classrooms. I do also have an email list. If you want to join the email list, I email once, maybe twice a week with tips, advice, content, different tips, tricks, and things to help you make your music classroom more meaningful and joyful for your students and for you. All those links are going to be in the description box below, as well as my TPT store, which has a bunch of different printables and worksheets and Google Slides activities and mini lessons for you to use in your K-5 elementary music classrooms. That's all from me for this week. Happy music making.